This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 17th of June. I am Miss Pope.
I am MC Squared.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. The Daily Nation. Now Sakaja faces arrest for forgery, the gift that keeps on giving there. The Standard, the next First Lady. The Star, inside Raila's dream cabinet. And we conclude with the People Daily, how Kalonzo hand forced Gilu's move. But before we get into the headlines today, MC Squared, what do you have to tell us today?
My name is MC Squared. I have an MSc in statistics and I am from Meru behind the shops.
Okay.
According to election theory, elections are won on two things: persuasion and turnout.
Absolutely.
The voters we call undecided are also known as persuadables. They have not decided on whom to vote for because they are not persuaded yet.
Okay.
According to InfoTrack, 20% of the Kenyan voters are undecided. This represents around 4.4 million of the 22 million voters in the IEBC register. And they became undecided after Mother Karua. This means that they are either migrating from UDA or thinking about it. I would like to use the theory of choice to explain this category of voters.
Do tell us.
Now, choice theory was introduced by Alvin Toffler in his book, Future Shock. It says that people faced with many options have a difficult time making a decision. The theory further states that although people love many choices, when it is choice time, most of us suffer from analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And this was the paralysis we suffered before the mother effect. Now that IEBC has given us 4 candidates only and the battle lines are drawn, the choices have reduced. And this should explain the UDA migration, especially in Gema. To correctly consider the 4.4 million undecided voters, we need to look at voter turnout as well.
Okay.
The average voter turnout in the 6 elections in the last 6 years has been 71%.
Wow.
That means only around 15.6 million voters will turn out to vote. Now, with that in mind, let us assume that these 4.4 million voters are part of the 15.6 million voters. If they decide not to vote, only around 11 million voters will turn out and vote in August. That will be only 50% of the 22 million voters. The lowest voter turnout we will have in the history of the multi-party elections. Of course, after the 55% recorded in 2002. But who benefits from a low voter turnout? It is Rarua. Mother na mama, of course. Babaman has consistently obtained 44% from all his areas of support. In 2007, he had 44%. In 2013, he had 44%. And in 2017, guess what? He had 44%.
Absolutely.
He is getting into this election 44% strong if historical data is trustworthy.
And data is always trustworthy.
He does not need to persuade the undecided or to push for turnout. His base has shown a historical consistency that he can rely on. But for Ruto to win, he needs, I repeat, 80% of Gema and a high voter turnout in the region. The problem, however, is this. What is the Gema motivation to wake up early and vote for Ruto?
Hakuna.
Zero.
Hakuna.
Their marriage to UDA is nothing but a calm we stay. There is no love. There is no romance. Just finance. And if Ruto is broke, they are going to ditch him.
Absolutely.
True.
And one last thing, Gema has already voted. they voted when a running mate was chosen.
Okay.
Whether they turn up on August 9 or not, they are assured of a DP position.
Yeah.
With this in the pocket, Gema has no motivation at all to vote.
Nope.
Their turnout will be 30% or less.
Whoa.
And that, my friend, is how they are going to fix Ruto.
Fix Ruto indeed.
That is true. So August 9th is fast approaching, and the candidates are using all manner of strategies to win votes. Today, we would like to warn Kenyans about one strategy being employed by Ruto. In our view, William Ruto is conditioning the minds of Kenyans to reject a Raila victory and reject a Ruto loss. I will elaborate with a study based on science.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there was a Russian scientist called Ivan Pavlov. One day, he decided to do some experiments on his dogs.
Okay.
Every day, he would ring a bell and then feed them. Eventually, he began to notice that his dogs would salivate when the bell rang, even before the food was brought out. So one day, Pavlov decided to ring the bell but not feed the dogs. And still, the dogs salivated.
Wow.
Then he rang the bell a second and a third time, each time not feeding them afterwards. And still, the dogs salivated
Absolutely.
a river, but they received zero food at this point. What had happened here? Pavlov had conditioned the dogs. Conditioning is a theory in psychology that says that the reaction to an object or an event by a person or an animal can be modified by learning. Now, is it possible that William Ruto has been conditioning the minds of Kenyans to reject a Raila victory and to reject a Ruto loss? How, you ask? He is creating the impression that the IEBC is incompetent, inept, and controlled by state. Just the other day, he ran to Mzungu's donors shouting, "Beware, democracy on trial. Beware, election rigging about to happen." He also claimed, without proof, that IEBC had expunged 1 million of his voters from his stronghold. Is he doing this to condition the psyche of Kenyans to reject a Ruto loss?
That's scary.
Then there is the Sakaja degree drama. The UDA brigade is claiming that Sakaja's failure to graduate is the government's fault, even though there is no correlation between Sakaja's laziness and IEBC due diligence. William Ruto has been meticulously playing the victim card to garner sympathy from the voters and has been busy making public apologies to show the people that he is an honest man. Is he conditioning the minds of Kenyans to think that he is always the victim and never the perpetrator? But there are more obvious examples to Ruto's conditioning.
Okay.
Every time he mentions the 100 billion to Mama Mboga and 50 billion to Boda Boda Watus, they start salivating on exaggerated promises. Every time he misquotes the Bible, he is ringing a bell to the Christian psyche of our nation. Remember that religion is the opium of the masses. What is my point here? Kenyans, are we being conditioned?
Tell us.
Are we being primed to reject a Raila victory and reject a Ruto loss? If we are, let me remind you of a truth where you have only been fed lies. Beware the man who is always a victim, who always points his enemies out to you, because more often than not, he is the villain trying to steal the crown.
Oof.
Ladies and gentlemen, we must call him
out.
out.
I love it. I love it, Miss Pope. Okay. I'm going to go along the lines of Miss Pope a little bit. So for years now, the Hustler Nation has now been campaigning for, as we said, 4 years, non-stop.
Yes.
But something about them, in my view, has grown stale. Sort of like eating an egg without adding that salt. After Martha was put on Raila's ticket, they have paled even further. The cheap populism of the hustler narrative has increasingly relied on telling their voters not what UDA stands for, but telling voters who UDA stands against. And that person, for those of you who do not know, is none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta. He is their object of aggression. Now, historically, every election has an object of aggression. Let me give you some examples. In 2002, it was Moi and everything he stood for.
Yeah.
In 2013, it was the ICC. And now UDA wants to make the election of 2022 an anti-Uhuru election.
Yeah.
But here is why this can't and won't work. Ruto and Uhuru were once two sides of the same coin. Furthermore, their only logic now is that Uhuru is bad because he is not good. Uhuru is bad because he does not support Ruto. And because Uhuru is bad, everything he has achieved in the last 5 years must also be bad. From CBC to the Lamu port to the 33 markets that have been rehabilitated, the list can go on. So, if President Kenyatta removed the asbestos from the roofs of those markets and of stalls, will Ruto return them? Is this how he intends to take care of the hustlers? I wonder. The truth does not matter to Ruto, it does not matter to UDA. This is why Sakaja can drag President Uhuru's name for an issue as simple as not having the correct paperwork, not having a degree. When President Uhuru is not the reason why Sakaja did not show up in class, or the reason why he does not have any proof of his studies as we speak.
True.
Sakaja is trying to paint President Uhuru as the invisible hand that is stalling his progress. This is despite the fact that President Uhuru has been largely responsible for the rise of Sakaja, giving Sakaja his first step into politics by making him chairman of TNA, and he also made him a nominated MP. We forget that.
Yeah.
This is what it means to turn President Uhuru Kenyatta into an object of aggression. He's blamed for anything that can go wrong. But picking Uhuru as an object of aggression, in my view, was this. It was a blunder.
Whoa.
This is because President Uhuru Kenyatta makes master chess player political moves, knowing that he would become the obvious object of aggression for Ruto. What does he do? He gracefully left the scene and handed over to a Jaba, or for those of you who wouldn't know, a warrior by the name of Martha Karua, where he can ensure that country is left in the right hands. I'll leave with this. After all, we always say this, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Okay, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines for you. We ask ourselves these 3 simple questions. We say, is the headline topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? Let me go through the headlines for you once more. The Daily Nation. Now Sakaja faces arrest for forgery. The Standard. The next First Lady. The Star. Inside Raila's dream cabinet. And finally, The People Daily. How Kalonzo's hand forced Gilu's move. So with these 4 headlines, one of them is on Sakaja, the other one on Kalonzo, one on Raila, and one is sort of a piece speaking about the first ladies who may become our first lady, who will become, one of them will become our first lady come August, not August, but after the election. What do you guys think about the headlines, Miss Pope?
Well, the Sakaja one, topical, but neither... No.
I like it because it's the gift that keeps on giving. One day it's the degrees, now it's international syndicate. What is it tomorrow, I wonder?
The Star, inside Raila's dream cabinet. I think it's a bit speculative. I don't think we have... Do you guys think we have a winning headline today?
It's a tough one. I think no winning headline. What do you think, MC Squared?
The Standard may have tried something, but they did not think about it properly. I think that was very lazy. Yes.
Okay, so we have no winning headline. MC Squared, do us the honors. Toss those papers. There we go. So thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that like button. We're also on your TV screens. You'll find us on Pang, Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. And before we leave you, I'll leave you with a very simple quote. And it says this: everyone is entitled to his own opinion, but not to his own facts. That is by Daniel Patrick Monia. Thank you so much and have an excellent weekend.